It's 5:45 p.m., which means it's time for BCTV's weekly Media Roundup 545 Live. I'm Roland Boyden.
And I'm Kia Bailey. Tonight, the story behind the $1.2 million donation to the library, Wednesday's multi-town vote passes Leland Gray's $7 million budget, and in addition to setting the regular town meeting warning, Brattleboro Select Board approves a second special town meeting to revisit the police fire project. All that and more in the next 15 minutes, so stick with us.
Welcome back to this February 6th, 2015 edition of 545 Live. That's footage this past Monday's severe winter weather, a continuation of a seemingly endless bout of storms that's beset the region, with some footage from BCTV volunteer Russ Graybeck from the slopes of Memorial Park, as well as some more troubling footage from the slope of High Street for one stranded semi-truck operator Monday night.
And this Monday wasn't the last the region will see of blizzard-like conditions, as area meteorologists now predict a multi-day storm set out to blanket the area with a fresh 1 to 3 feet of snow running Saturday to Tuesday.
Which means we could very well be looking at even more snow days for area schools. Now, luckily for members of the Leland Gray School Board administration, the weather cooperated on Wednesday as residents of Brookline, Jamaica, Newfane, Townsend, and Windham took to the polls to vote for Leland Gray's $7 million FY16 budget, passing it by nearly 70%, an approval rating that comes as a surprise to many, with last year's twice-rejected LNG budget still fresh in the minds of many, including WCSU Superintendent Stephen John, who explained the tight strings on this year's budget at a special info meeting held the day before the big vote.
The law has changed regarding the responsibility of the supervisory union to now oblige the superintendent to invite all the boards in the supervisory union, all the school districts, including Leland Gray, to participate in a bargaining council and attempt to bargain a unified contract throughout the supervisory union.
And with that, time to move on with the headlines as promised. Ronal Reid was a quiet man who died this past June at age 92. Living in Windham County his whole life, he lived modestly, but his death unearthed a secret even his closest friends and family members knew nothing about. His stepson, Philip Brown, had no idea the extent to which his stepfather had invested. According to Reid's attorney, Reid was fond of picking stocks, and as time went on, his investments continued to grow. At the time of his death, his stocks and properties were valued at almost $8 million, most of which was left in his will to Brattleboro Memorial Hospital and Brooks Memorial Library. Upon learning that the library would be receiving an unrestricted bequest of $1.2 million, Executive Director Jerry Carboni was surprised and excited. News outlets all throughout the nation, as well as some publications in England and Ireland, have taken an interest in this kind act coming from a modest, self-made man.
It really guarantees the future sustainability and viability of the library in the community, because it really was a gift to the community. Really, the library will just be a vehicle to improve its services, its infrastructure.
The $4.8 million left to BMH was also a more than pleasant surprise and might be used for capital projects and infrastructure improvements. Reid was a humble man, and many people were under the impression that he was struggling financially, but he turned around and surprised everyone with the largest single donations the hospital and library have ever seen.
Now you can find that full interview with Jerry Carboni, who squeezed the two of us into his schedule yesterday amidst those interviews with the AP, Fox News, and others. And we'll post his 6-minute interview as a 545 Live Extra on BCTV's official Facebook page, facebook.com/bctv.brattleboro. Also BCTV's YouTube channel, youtube.com/BrattleboroTV, and of course, the official website, brattleboro.tv.org. All right, time to move on here. Next up, this Tuesday marked the shortest regular meeting of the Brattleboro Select Board board in these past few months, coming in at just over an hour, with the board's massive town meeting warning decisions put behind them at the 3.5-hour special meeting this past Thursday that included much talk on the FY16 budget, as well as an old standby for local controversy, the police fire upgrade project.
We will also have that on the agenda for the February 12th meeting, but if there's any time frame, statutory time frame that needs to be met, then we will notice a meeting on short notice.
The projected tax rate for the 2016 fiscal year, according to David Gartenstein, is $1.19 per $100, a 2-cent increase from the last year. The proposed 1% sales tax would be able to bring the tax rate down to $1.14. The Select Board has approved the placing of the 1% sales tax option on 2 different ballots, the townwide ballot and as a binding article for the representative town meeting to be held on March 21st. As for the budget, the board approved the $15+ million budget, including a $1 million capital budget. More discussion will follow at the representative town meeting, where Gartenstein plans to propose a $140,000 decrease in the project budget.
You can find both recent Select Board meetings referenced in the show in their entirety, streaming as we speak at brattleboro.tv.org, or catch them during a regular replay time 2 clicks up the dial on our Government and Education sister channel, Channel 10.
All right, next up. This marks the 17th week of striking for the near 1,800 employees of the tri-state communications provider Fairpoint, as local members of the IBEC continue to wait in sub-zero conditions for federally mediated negotiations to continue in Washington, D.C. between top union officials and Fairpoint company representatives. And while no official progress has been announced, local workers on strike got a boost of energy today as they were joined in their protests outside the company's Brattleboro branch on Main Street by the Burlington-based outreach group Jobs for Justice.
All right, moving on. The Department of Public Works in Brattleboro is urging residents to make savvy decisions when it comes to third-party solicitations for insurance covering homeowners' water and sewer lines. This comes after the private company HomeServe USA has begun an aggressive campaign in the area attempting to sell local residents insurance to cover the stretch of water lines connecting local homes to the town's water and sewer grid system. Now, under current town regulations, homeowners are responsible for the section of underground piping that runs from their homes to the town's system, and as such, the town maintains that purchasing insurance, like the kind HomeServe USA seeks to peddle, is the prerogative of the homeowner. However, data regarding the stability of the piping in question suggests that insurance of this type is anything but a necessity. With an official press release from DPW quoted as saying, "While it is true a homeowner is responsible for their water line to the house, it can also be said that a well-installed copper water line can last many years. Ultimately, it is the homeowner's choice if they wish to purchase insurance. Brattleboro's water customers are welcome to call the Department of Public Works at 254-4255 with any questions."
Next up, Amtrak's Vermonter made its first trip from Washington, D.C. to St. Albans, Vermont and back again in late December. Now, train stations that have been out of service for decades are full of life as the high-speed train travels through states, making travel easier for many. To commute from Springfield to Northampton can be cumbersome, but with a smooth train ride at 35 to 50 miles per hour, taking only 40 minutes, the trip is effortless, quick, and comfortable.
There's a look at a clip from Reformer photographer Kayla Rice, part of the Reformer's Tout.com upload offerings. That's right, you can check out tout.com/BratReformer. Don't even need the old bro, where Reformer photographers and reporters upload short video clips from the field on the go as they report, and that's where our next story will take us as well. Taking us to the slopes of Harris Hill as Reformer reporter Dominic Poley caught video on the slopes of former ski jumper Drew Richards as he was interviewed by Ted Reinstein for a story about Brattleboro for Chronicle.
Ted Reinstein is interviewing Drew Richards about the Harris Hill ski jump for Chronicle TV.
Now this is a big deal.
It is a big deal, yeah. It's an Olympic-sized hill. It's right in the center of our community, which is unique.
So you're jumping in front of your friends here?
You jump in front of family, friends. I've crashed in front of my grandmother, just about gave her a heart attack. So I've done it all, but yeah, there's nothing better than skiing in front of your hometown and having everybody, ringing cowbells, cheering you on. It's pretty unique.
Moving on. For the first time in 30 years, Brattleboro's zoning regulations are being re-examined and revised by the town's planning commission. Some areas of town will be affected more than others, with specific changes to service center regulations, industrial zones, and the zones along Putney Road outlined in the draft. An effort to preserve historical features throughout Brattleboro is also evident in the revised version of the regulations. Different regulations about stormwater and erosion management have been carefully analyzed and rethought, and also under consideration are parking regulations that affect pedestrian safety. Before the final draft is put before the Brattleboro Select Board, 2 warned public meetings and 1 public hearing will take place.
I did just want to point out that this is really, a first step in the public outreach effort. The Planning Commission has spent pretty much all of 2014 working on revising the regulations. There's a complete first draft, and I think thinking about it as a first draft is important. If you look through it, you will notice there are points in there that say we need to get feedback on this, we need to come back and think about that.
That clip from the Brattleboro Planning Services Department special open forum at the Marlboro Graduate Center on January 22nd as part of their new zoning rehash. They had another meeting this week as well that'll also go up, and you can find them both at brattleboro.tv.org. All right, time to move on and check in with a few things before we wrap up this show, including our BCTV video calendar. This is all sponsored by a generous donation from the Brattleboro Savings and Loan, who donate to BCTV each year to help us with this calendar coverage. We'll start by just noting that it is a first Friday as we speak. Gallery Walk is going on. That's right, it runs from about 5 to 11 p.m. or even later in some areas all throughout the downtown region and beyond. And it's worth noting that Gallery Walk has its own website, gallerywalk.org, if you want to find out more about all the happenings in town.
All right, moving on in our calendar coverage here. For the 12th year in a row, the Brattleboro Museum and Art Center is hosting the annual Collegiate A Cappella Benefit Concert. 5 colleges will be represented as their incredible a cappella groups perform at the Latches Theater Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. The Tufts Amalgamites, Clark Bars, University of Vermont's Cat's Meow, Williams College E-Flats, Middlebury's D8s, and the Tufts Beelzebubs will take to the stage for a night of music. Tickets are sold out, but if you call 802-257-0124, you can request to be put on the wait list. Tonight at 8 p.m., there is a preview concert of sorts featuring local high school a cappella groups held at the BMAC downtown.
And if the waiting list doesn't yield you a spot at the Collegiate A Cappella Concert, never fear, you can find it next week on BrattleboroTV.org as BCTV field producer Rich Melanson will be there with a video camera in hand, as he is each and every year, to get that video. You can also catch up on previous year's Collegiate A Cappella concerts, including last year's, which was where we got that footage we were just showing you on the screen of the Cat's Meow. So find it all, again, at BrattleboroTV.org.
All right, that does it for us on 545 Live, but be sure to tune in again at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time next week. In the meantime, thanks for watching.
But every song's like gold teeth, gray goose, tripping in the bathroom, blood stains, ball gowns, trash in the hotel room. We don't care. We're driving Cadillacs in our drinks, but everybody's like Crystal, Maybach, diamonds on your timepiece, jet planes, islands, tigers on a gold leash. We don't care. We're not caught up in your love affair, and we'll never be royals. It's running our blood. The kind of love's just ain't for us. We crave a different kind of buzz. Let me be your ruler. You can call me Queen Bee, and baby I'll rule. Let me live that fantasy.